Let's go to the origins of Benjamin Banneker. And in a very cursory way, his grandfather was named Banneker, and then you say K-A, may have been his tribal origin.
Right.
You strongly suspect, after eliminating certain other options, that his grandfather was probably from Mali and of the Dogon, D-O-G-O-N tribe.
Yes.
And that very likely his mother was a Fulani, and that they had certain traditions in the Dogon culture, one of which was a study of the cosmos, which is the stars. Another is a study of numerology, which is numbers, and the index in their culture was 8 instead of the Roman index we use today, which is 10.
Yes.
And that they figured things out because there were 8 fingers on both hands, if you don't count the thumbs. And then there was the knowledge of agriculture. Now, his grandfather, according to your book, was one of 2 slaves bought by a former white indentured servant named Molly. One slave worked very hard, and the other slave, Banneker, didn't work. And the other slave said, Banneker doesn't work because he's royalty.
Yeah, he's a prince. He's not supposed to work.
So she fell in love with his grandfather, married his grandfather, and then his grandfather shared all these wonderful, brilliant cultural nuances. And then they had a daughter, Mary. They had 4 daughters, according to your book. Mary then, in turn, was the mother of Benjamin Banneker. So now I've set the stage culturally. Tell me what impact Banneker's cultural background had on his ability to demonstrate this genius that the world came to see.
I think it was tremendous, because the wonderful thing is that this was a lovely family. You know, everything about Banneker's life is a refutation of what people thought about blacks without ever giving them a chance to show it. But here, instead of the undisciplined kind of way that people thought they were, and almost no family life and all that, they were a family that not only stuck together, but were very wise. Like the mother and father of Benjamin were not geniuses themselves, and yet they understood there was something different about this boy. And they said to him, remember, the tobacco is what puts food on the table. You got to do your work during the day. After that, you can go out in a corner and think all you want. And they gave him that opportunity, and he understood responsibility from them.
Well, the Dogon culture, you say, was like that.
And the culture was like that. The Dogon, only 200,000 people there still have survived by this kind of...
We call it Mali today, right?
Yeah, in Mali, yes. But I've talked to people from Mali now who still say that the Dogon are very, very respected people in their country.
And they kind of keep a low profile too, don't they?
Yeah, they're very wise about not having confrontations when they can avoid it, because there's too few of them.
But Benjamin Banneker stepped outside of his personality and, quote, reproached the founding fathers, which was a very dangerous thing to do for a black man in that time.
Imagine the risk he took. Nobody, this was a day when they had become particularly ugly toward the slaves, even in Maryland, which was generally a liberal state. And things were, you know, they'd cut off an ear for somebody that was just suspected of whispering something to somebody else. They thought it was a plot, whippings and terrible things like that. What would they do to a man who writes to the Secretary of State and calls him a fraud?
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson. I mean, what a risk he was to...
What did he say? What was specifically did he say in his... He sent his almanac, didn't he? He sent his almanac to prove that a black person was capable of that type of intellectual
right. You see, this was